Welcome aboard. All aboard. We are here for How Not to Game with Callie Jack. I'm Callie Jack, the gaming persona for the Diver X channel. This is episode 39, I believe. It's either 39 or 40. 39 of our. Sorry, I've not been all together. Allergies are kicking my tail today. And I started looking at something and I realized when we get to Eastern's turn, we can start showing the first hints of how things would work with an interline. And that is something I am seriously considering allowing, is the first interlining, allowing Eastern to utilize this section of track and two train runs through here so that they can have without us having to establish things. But I think it is a good idea, and it's time. It's time and then some to start allowing this to start happening. So we're going to see what we can do. This would allow with just a small spur yard coming over, tying into a double up line here. That would be double on either side of the junction for the connector, and then a connector over here at their point where they would say, hey, yo, one way this way and the other way. Only those companies we allow on that rail can go on that rail. So that is what we're looking at here doing. Second cup of coffee for the second pot for those track and caffeination levels. And that is something that would be very good to consider being able to do. Unfortunately, I can't offer because that's just too short of a stretch to make it justifiable there. But from here over to here, that would be a very good stretch to do. We would have to take and do the two sections of yardage that would be required. So going by our standard rule, though, our standard rules, we go back to the top. Once we hit the bottom guy, it's Calico's turn. And Calico is realizing that there's some conniving going on down south and east, mostly east. And he's beginning to look at what else he can do up here in the northern sections. So let's take a peek at our northern map. Cal's got a paper mill and his printing press, and he can take and get more timber into his paper mill. And he's beginning to realize he's got a section of line already laid that covers portions of it. So just like the Interline will save Eastern a little bit of money, he can save some by just doubling or doing a single siding along this to allow passing of trains. So let's see what we can do here, or do we want to keep it up high? And I don't feel like going up and down, so I think he's going to just do it as a whole separate line. So he's going to go to exploratory rail mode and set up his exploratory rail section. And that's it right there. Now he will service off of the one existing, so he will have to take and do a spur line over to connect these up somehow, some way. So we're going to take and get him so that he's going to be running down to here. He's going to need a passing lane in here, a couple of them. And he's going to stay up high, he's decided. He doesn't want to go back down low. He's viewing that dropping down is not a smooth operations item. And right there's where our double line will occur. First siding pass. And then we will do one up here, high up, to allow a siding pass coming into the delivery yard. So we're going to set him up the correct way. Now, where's that other rail? He's all the way over there, so he does go down quite a bit. So he's going to need to do something like this in here to get up to where he needs to go and then begin his long slog towards. There we go. Now we do have a small jog that's occurring right there, and we can fix that with just a simple lineage like that. And we will take out portions of that line, but not all of it. There we go. He's going to lay in these guys, signals, one ways, a two-way there. He's going to do this to create his connection line. And then do double signals there and there. Dispatch out 2 steam locomotives. Now, we did lose during this last year access to the Sacker. So our workhorse train is gone. And now we've got to decide what's going to be worth cranking out. And we're going to try the Jayco EB 460, EB 535. The Eb. We'll call them the Ebenezers. And see how many trains worth of. Well, they can haul a pretty good amount. So we're going to copy that. And then we're going to schedule him. And our first guy will go right away. That'll let us fix the rest of the line. And we're going to call that the Voltaic Woods Logger. And then it's time to take and do some prep work for the next train. Got our signals in place. Good. And then we're going to do a signal there. And we're going to take out this signal here. And the reason is that signal could cause us some issues. And we are considering opening up his consolidated facility over here instead, with a small passing line here that would let him dispatch trains better. for right now, we're not dealing with that. We're going to go up here and fix the break in the line, as well as lay the station. This is all he's going to do this time, is just one quick round, adding a little bit of trackage and a few little fixes, like we got to fix that. There we go. 100% there, and then he comes down to here and delivers. And that's going to be the Electron Planes logger. Get these names in on the companies too while we're at it. There we go. And that's pretty much his run. He can speed up the line down the road. Start that train rolling. 2 more trains supplying paper that will increase our paper run and hopefully allow us to think about changing out those trains for some more powerful engines down the road. He's got an awful lot of crowded stops too. Hey, while we're at it, let's go ahead and turn the trees back on because we want to be pretty for a while. We're not really messing too much with the trees. Looking pretty good. We've got everything pretty much set. Blows past Octawing. And there goes into Leroy's logging. All right, he's taken care of. 13 minutes in, so we've got 10 minutes or so for the 3 prep works we have to do. And the first prep work actually is a delay where he's not taking a full pass, but he's asking for a delay to allow DDI to build what they need to. So what we will do is drop to Don John first, who will create the most important part of this whole thing, which is the double line. They then put in their signals. And they get to put in the exclusion gates. Now we're going to tell it to talk to us about these exclusion gates. is we're going to allow Eastern to operate on the exclusion gate there and on this one here. Actually, this one, he will not be allowed to go beyond that point. So between the one-way and the exclusion gate, he's only accessible up to this point. Public service now has to come in. Public service has to make the connector line. Once public service is done theirs, Eastern can now take their turn. And as this is what I had built our boys to be, this is what he's going to be. So he's going to build a double setup here. Bring it down and let it turn. There we go. He's going to put a double signal in his section so that he can have people coming in and out. And he's actually going to choose a platform choose double signal because he's going to have two Oilers working out of this eventually or more. So it's a production facility. And he's ready to rock and roll. At that end. Down at this end, we do need to go back to public service again. Because one of the things that Eastern's going to need is to make the connection over to here. And that's going to require a bit more work. So he's going to put in his bridge, lay in his lines, and get the train over to the community. Oops. He's got to come down to the flats, and then he's got to get to here. Now in here he's going to need at least two sidings, plus another siding right in here, even though he's going into here, and he's probably going to need that siding this way. And he's going to need an inbound now. So he's going to be set. We're going to tell it to standard that, standard there. Give him two. He's got what he needs there. And we're going to give him a double halt point there. Now we got a couple of breaks that we got to deal with. And we're going to need to turn the pretty trees right back off so that we can make certain we got no more breaks in the trees. We don't. Good. Now comes the fun part. And I just did all that as public service. So public service just laid this to try to take and give Eastern a little break because Eastern's hurting. Eastern's almost $1 million in the hole. We're 12 years away from when I will turn on and determine whether a company is going to be viable or not by bankruptcy standards. So they've got just that short amount of time left to take and do things. Eastern needs to deal with the fact that they now have to have a setup here in this community. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So no train can be longer than 4. Under the rules that DDI is setting. And DDI is going to go ahead and do their due diligence here in just a second. And add a second switching line or passing line here in the community so that their trains don't slow down too much. Now they will require some groundwork, and they're not in that great a shape either, but they do need to be able to function. And again, right here, we're going to take and tell him we control who comes onto our lines. We're allowing Eastern to enter at this spot. Go back to public service for the signaling here. Public service needs to set signals there and there. Public service also just noted that he's got this. And public service said, guess what? You have to service this guy as well. Right there. And then public service is going to do one right before the bridge. They are not going to pay to have a second siding after the bridge. All right. And this is actually a stretch where I was seriously considering doing left-hand drive, because these here being returns, I'd rather have the fast line, not the slow line, be the way of the world here. But that's not the way this worked out. So, looking at this, we need to take out that yard, because it's not 1 yard. We now need to switch back to Eastern and let Eastern put in the yard so that it is part of their yard setup. But at least they did not have to pay for, as we saw, all that trackage. Now they are going to pay each time a train rolls across it. Oops, and they wound up paying twice for that because they chose the wrong color. And with that set up now we can take a dispatch from Eastern's dispatch. Sadly, a long run, but it's going to pay off long term. So we're going to have it run the BR86 because I know that makes money, as does the BR38s. Actually, we're going to have it make a BR38. The BR38 is 40 cents cheaper. That's why. We're going to grab a bunch of hand tankers. I don't care that it's going below 75, as long as it doesn't go below 70. We will copy that convoy, do our first schedule, which is the big long one. So from out here at Pinedon Oilfield to here, 100%, promote that line. calling this the Pinedon Oiler. Pine River Oiler. No, Border River Oiler. Boiler River Oiler. And plural it because there's going to be two. Enter. Close. Close. Now, I could have done it by copying now, but we're not doing it that way. Start. What did he say? Can't find a route? Okay, so we've got a break. Somewhere along the line there is a break. Or we're jammed. We're jammed again. Yes, they jammed up yet again. See if that's what caused the jam. Yes. So he just needed to get in closer to the station. Yeah. Making certain I didn't screw up any of the signals for him. Probably did. I just don't know it yet. Eastern is allowed. Eastern is allowed, making certain that none of my signals got screwed up. Yep, there's a break. Okay, that's what happened. There we go. All right, that's taken care of. Go back to the yard. Now we should be able to dispatch the trains. If we're on the right list. Eastern, high. Start. And we're going to put you onto the other. So there'll be two of them running that line because of the length of the line. Hopefully that will get us some funding. Eastern is now functional, and Eastern's going to do one more oiler because public service said you have to. So they're going to choose a slower oiler, I think. Stick with the 440. This oiler is going to go from there to there. 100%. And we're going to call that the PSA mandate oiler. So Public Service Administration has goofed us up. All right. Another thing he's going to do is he's going to go back into this as soon as everybody's out of the depot and say hi and sell the locomotive. And the cars he's got that are excess. All right, so we've got our first interline where somebody else is co-running on somebody else's rails with restrictions and prohibitions from extending beyond a certain point. Now, one other thing I want to do is to give this guy, oops, wrong company, Don John, thank you. Let him have that. And then these signals, oops, it'll take a minute for that to clear. There he goes. Now they are running as we look. As he gets close, that gate should close. It should have been closed, only open when his train comes by, but graphics glitch. And there he is loading up. There's our first load of oil coming back out. Do you see the problem? I do. We've got to come back and switch one more time back to Eastern and fix one more thing. Eastern did not think this through. No, nobody did, actually. And this should really just be a regular signal there. There we go. Now Eastern should be functional. I did have to do it as a split entry. I just realized that by having the choose signal, two-way choose signal, it causes them to be able to come in and block each other, which is what they were doing. All right. Well, that's a basic. As you can see, the gate's closed now. It's recognizing that other carriers are coming in, and that gate will only open now for those that are allowed beyond that point. Who have access to the Interline section. So as time goes by, this will become a money-making thing for, hopefully for Don John, and a money saver by not having to pay full fee, only 15% per mile versus full fee per mile per month. For the boys who have their access. Now, I don't know if that's 15% per section per month period, whether there's trains or whether it's each train. I think it's each train. Because if I remember right, let's take a peek at our road toll in here. And we're going to look specifically at trains. It should stop the minute this train clears. No, it won't, because that's right. We screwed up, and that is all public service trackage. So, yeah, it's going to mess us up. He's going to be paying a higher road toll per month now. Things that we screwed up. But we can fix that. And the rail sections, by just improving them, can be transferred over to Eastern down the road with only the interconnect spot controlled by our boys. Now, one thing I do want to do is to remind myself that I've got a public service right away here. So I need to do a sign as Public Service Commission. And there we go. So we've got an interline yard built, an interline junction built. Approved by the PSA. So we've got a good little line, good little setup. And we will see if that changes anything by being able to bring on those two oil factories. And then down the road, hopefully adding another oil runner to the oil run back into that depot. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to go ahead and think about prepping for that down the road. So we're going to be, Don John's done. We're at 39 minutes, real long video, but I needed to show you all that in one video. These all should have been Eastern's lines, but by doing what we did, we managed to make it so that they saved some money on the construction. They're paying a fee. That fee hopefully is less than what the trackage is. Let's see what the trackage is. We can take a peek at that, believe it or not. Right here, if we go to here, whoops, doesn't it show us there? Come to public service, go to their trackage. They're paying $7,600, $7,200 a month for the trackage. Oops, that's truck, that's road. 626. So they're already making 900 to 800. So this is making the Public Service Commission make money. Finally, in some way, shape, or form, the Public Service Commission gets to make money. Now, will it make a difference when your maintenance costs are 112,000 a year? No. Will it mitigate it? Yes. So the road tolls will slowly begin to take and make up for all that road sections that they lay in between the towns and in the towns. I'm Kelly Jack. Have a better day than I'm having.